Drill 2. Torpedo kick with a hip-led rotation. This drill is essential to maintaining a basic streamlined shape for all strokes. A beginner may find it easier to start on their backs due to breathing constraints. Focus on the body position as on drill 1 and raise the arms into streamline. Watch out for common faults such as the upper back rounding and lifting out of the water, or the lower back sinking. Try to maintain a flat body position. Once this position has been mastered, rotate from the hips, watching out for any sideward movement.
Latissimus dorsi smash. The foam roller is placed obliquely to the side of the trunk over the belly of the latissimus dorsi. As can be seen in the video, the swimmer is working along the length of the latissimus dorsi. This area can be quite difficult to work into with young and lean swimmers, as superficial bony structures such as ribs and the scapula can have unnecessary pressure put on them. In order to avoid this, the swimmer can work on the lower end of the latissimus, and as seen in the video, can then work to the underside and back end of the armpit. By turning the palm of the hand up, the swimmer will lengthen the latissimus, enabling himself to work into a greater area of the muscle. In this video, the swimmer can be seen continuing to work further with the foam roller into the tricep area, flexing from the elbow, allowing themselves to work deeper into the muscle. Latissimus and lateral line stretch. With the swimmer taking hold of the bar, they must then hinge from the hips and attempt to drop their chest as low as they can. This will begin the stretch. The swimmer can then increase the stretch by rotating and looking under the armpit. They can further the stretch by slightly rotating their stance and attempting to push their trunk and lean further to one side. This can then be increased to include the muscles that comprise the outside of the hip and the outside of the length of the leg by stepping the leg to the rear and again leaning into the stretch. Cat and cow pose. Beginning in a spinal neutral position, the swimmer inhales and simultaneously draws up into the cat pose. Within this position, the swimmer should maximize the inhalation by drawing in their abdomen at the top of the pose. If the swimmer pushes their hands and lower legs into the ground, the swimmer will be able to increase the intensity of the stretch. The cow pose is reversed during the exhalation. As the swimmer breathes out, the swimmer drops their spine under control through neutral and towards the ground. The swimmer should look to draw their shoulders back and down whilst looking up. The swimmer then returns back to a neutral spinal position. Prone streamline hold. The swimmer firstly squeezes their feet together. The hips and lumbar spine are set into a neutral position. The swimmer then brings their arms into a streamline position, however the arms are relaxed and still on the floor. The swimmer then sets the shoulders back and down into a scapular neutral position. At this point, the swimmer raises their arms from the ground. However, it is important to note at this point that the arms are raised and the movement comes from the shoulders and not from the lower back. The lower back must be maintained into a neutral position throughout the exercise. In this side view, you can see the swimmer firstly bringing their legs together, then setting their shoulders back and down, but before raising their arms from the ground, they adopt a strong neutral position with the pelvis, and you can see the stomach gapping from the floor. This is their transverse abdominis becoming engaged, and this will be maintained throughout the exercise. As the swimmer relaxes, you will see the belly dropping back to the ground. Hollow body hold, bent legs. The swimmer must firstly adopt a strong neutral position with their hips. This can be seen with the swimmer actively pushing their lower back towards the floor. This position must be set in place before moving the legs. Once the legs have been raised from the floor, the lower back position must be maintained throughout the duration of the exercise. This video is demonstrated two variations of the hollow body hold exercise. One position with the knees and hips set in a 90-90 position, and another variation with the legs lowered closer towards the ground. The swimmer must adopt the position that allows the hips to be maintained in neutral. Single leg glute bridge. The swimmer's foot is drawn towards their glutes and the foot is set slightly inside of hip width. The lower back is set into a neutral position and is actively pushed into the floor. This neutral position must be maintained throughout the movement. The swimmer should focus on placing their weight through their heels as they raise and lower their hips. The hips should not rotate or tilt downwards during the movement, but should be held in a strong neutral position throughout.